Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Pro Wrestling Throwdown for the week of December 2020. This is Luke the Big Dog Williams. I'm Caleb Black. That's our in-studio producer, the mighty Max Fury, and it's time for part 2 of the last couple of weeks of wrestling. Because we have missed a lot. We've already talked about Sting. We've already talked about AEW. We've already talked about Impact. Let's talk about some WWE, brother.
Can I start?
You can start. I wish you
Raw
would.
sucked. SmackDown sucked.
Wait, let me finish that. It all sucked.
205 Live sucked.
That's still a thing.
I don't know. What's the other one? Main Event sucked.
Main event probably no.
No,
Main event
didn't suck. It was,
Main event last week had Jeff Hardy versus
Ricochet in the main event.
Yeah.
Let's talk about War Games.
Regal says it.
Do you want to go first, or should I go first? Do you want to end on a happy note or end on a rant?
Here's the deal. You're going to rant anyway, and no one listens to him anyway, so I'll go first.
True. My rants are fairly popular,
They're
especially in the 18
really
to 25
not.
demographic.
They're really not.
It's not true.
First off, our demographic's 25 to 34.
It's not.
All right.
Your demographic.
Man, you're the one with the face.
Go on.
Anyway, pay-per-view wasn't great. Wasn't great by no means. But War Games, the women's War Games, wasn't as good as last year's. I really don't think it was. But then again, look at the names that were in War Games. It was basically a rehashed match from last year. Without
Tina Knox.
Well, without
Dakota
Baszler.
Kai.
Without Shayna Baszler.
Yeah,
Dakota Kai was in it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Tegan Knox.
Tegan Knox. Well, Tegan Knox, I believe, is hurt again, from what I understand. The triple threat match for the North American title wasn't bad.
I didn't hate it. There were a couple of spots that I didn't like as much. The Damian Priest being tied up. Remember when you tie yourself up, all you really got to do is fold back. And Johnny Gargano just kind of left him there, so Damian Priest just kind of folded back and got out. If they'd have done something where he tied himself up or used like handcuffs where they had to kind of gimmick it, I think it would have got over a little bit better.
The reemergence of Austin Theory.
Austin Theory's back on TV.
Even though now that Austin Theory's back,
we've got more accusations and more
we've got video
proof, and well, we have proof of videos. There's no legitimate proof as to where they were sent.
Also, the videos are
revealing.
Yeah.
You
can say that.
It's an adult man taking glamour shots of him and himself.
Yeah, Austin's Theory.
Austin's Theory.
Strap match. Strap match with
Sorry, that got me good.
With Dexter Lumis versus Cameron Grimes. Not a
bad
good showing from Cameron Grimes.
Yes.
Not as much what I wanted to see from Dexter Lumis.
I don't think
the tie-up at the end was fantastic with the strap.
I don't think this sort of stipulation match works well outside of like him whipping Cameron with his methodic and slow gimmick. I don't think it lends much to it outside of those limited spots.
Right.
The methodic thing where he's whipping Cameron, that looks great because that's natural. That's what he's going to be doing.
Here's what they did wrong. They did it backwards.
Yeah.
The strap match should have come in before the House of Horrors match.
Yes.
The House of Horrors should have been the blow-off.
Should have been the blow-off. I agree.
Also, I didn't like Cameron Grimes' sell of the chair. At the end of the match where he swept him out from under his feet and he hit his face off the chair, camera angle was all wrong.
Yeah.
You watched the man slap the chair. Well, yes and no.
Yeah,
because if it would have been me in my day of wrestling, I'd just took the chair.
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt you that bad.
Yeah, it's a clean, flat surface. But I do think that this was one of Cameron Grimes' better matches.
From a storytelling perspective, yes.
And then the match you had with Ciampa last week on Wednesday was pretty damn good, too.
The kid is talented. I just don't like it.
Neither do I, but I can see when his potential and his gimmick is working to his benefit, and this was one of the scenarios where it did.
Thatcher and Ciampa.
Instant classic.
Good match.
Not as good as Ilya and Walter as far as realistic fight matches.
God, no.
But damn good. Only thing that I had a problem with was that it was a little slow.
See, my thing was I thought it was a little short.
Oh, yeah, no, I could have watched them go for another 10 minutes easy.
Yeah, I think that they ended it way too soon.
But there is something to be said, too, about them saving a little bit.
Well, and here's the deal with the ear bleeding.
Yeah.
That could have been a call from the back to end it.
Yeah, and it was a great visual. Like I said, I think my only problem and I'm hoping this is where they're going. I hope this feud continues, but this was their first match, so they didn't give us everything.
Right.
They gave us an engagement between two physical wrestlers. It was great. I wouldn't have minded a little bit more fisticuffs. I wouldn't have minded a little bit more of them tying each other up a little bit harder. It just it started off slow, it picked up, and it had an abrupt finish. So I get what you're saying when it was too short.
The tying up a little bit harder is a lot like Austin Theory.
Good Lord.
See?
No,
See? I'm the only one.
Yeah, I really liked the match. If that was my favorite match of the night for sure.
I know that cage matches aren't exactly, or War Games match. Well, let me rephrase that. WWE's War Games matches aren't exactly.
Not even a lethal lock.
Are not really. How do I put this?
Good.
It's not that they're not. It's not that they're not good. They're just not the same.
Yeah.
But Adam Cole and Pat McAfee kill it again.
They killed it. I don't disagree with that at all. Here's what I'm going to say about the actual War Games matches. The women's match was stupid. This is why I say it was stupid. One, the Io Shirai trash can spot. I get it. It's a cool, GIF-worthy spot. That's something you do at an indie show in front of 500 people to get likes.
Would you like me to explain to you what I didn't like about that match? Here's the thing. War Games, the match beyond doesn't start
until all the competitors are in the ring.
Why the hell did they make a cover for the pinfall after they took her out outside the ring? It made no sense. If you're going to have a War Games match, know how it works.
Rhea Ripley hits, who was it? Tony Storm in the back of the head with the sledgehammer?
Okay, first off, I believe the Fiend's big-ass hammer looks more realistic than the little hammer that they brought out.
So let's talk about the sledgehammer angle between Shawn Michaels and Triple H after the 3 stages of hell. When Triple H takes that sledgehammer and he bashes over Michaels' neck. They wrote Michaels off TV. Was it after? It wasn't after SummerSlam, the street fight. Either way, takes it, bashes it over his fucking neck, and that's an injury angle. They take Michaels off TV for like 3 months, and he's hurt, and his neck is broken. Rhea Ripley, the biggest girl in this match, by a wide margin, with the exception of Raquel Gonzalez, has an easy 6 inches and probably about 40-pound weight advantage. Hits a girl square in the back of the fucking head with a sledgehammer, and that girl gets up 5 minutes later and starts wrestling again. You fucked yourself.
I'm going to point out the obvious.
Please do.
You have a sledgehammer. You drop said sledgehammer, it will not bounce.
Nope. It thuds,
at least when Triple H did it, when he would go to set or to drop the sledgehammer, he'd slowly let it slide out of his hand till it hit canvas, and then he would push it over onto the ground. It doesn't bounce. It makes no sense.
There were a couple of spots where they were on the top rope where it just took too long, and it was obvious they were holding each other up. And I get it, like, to an average wrestling fan, and I guess I'm watching too hard or I know too much, like, it doesn't bother you as much as it bothers me, but it bothers the shit out of me. Because if it takes me longer than the time it takes me to get you up top and snap the move, then you've already told everybody you're doing it together, and it takes me personally out of it. And it's got to take other people out of it, too.
Now, something positive. Positive. Pat McAfee.
So good.
And Adam Cole is a storyline I could watch for the next year.
Yeah, there has to be another match. I want there to be another match.
The best part of everything was the night after War Games.
Yeah.
On Pat McAfee's show, he showed up in a neck brace.
Mm-hmm. Selling the injury.
Kayfabe is not dead.
Baby.
And that's what I appreciate the most. And the best part is he had a football player on the show that was like, it said something about, you're one of those guys that would show up in court with a neck brace on, and this, that, and the other. And Pat, to his credit, was like, did you not see me dive 20 feet from the top of a cage?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
defending his position.
Defending the fact that he was wearing a neck brace. He told the guy, I'm lucky that I'm not sitting on a donut.
Yeah. So good. Now, the men's War Game match wasn't as egregious as the women's was.
No.
But again, some obvious cooperative spots in the top rope. I did love, however, I loved the finish, and this is why I loved the finish. When O'Reilly came down with that knee, or was it?
It was O'Reilly.
Okay. O'Reilly comes down on that knee drop with the chair on top of Oney Lorcan's face. You know why I love that finish? Because it's simple and it's fucking believable.
You know why I love that finish? Because neither was it Adam Cole nor McAfee
Which
that
keeps
got
the Adam
pinfall.
Cole McAfee thing running. I loved it. I loved the finish specifically because as I see him come down with that knee, I'm like, man, it'd be really shitty if he kicks out and he doesn't kick out. And I'm like, that's a real thing. They did a real thing.
Right. Well, not only that, but if you think about it, it gives the Undisputed Era that bit of edge, which we already know they have in War Games. They've only lost one War Games out of all the War Games. Just one.
Yeah.
2, excuse me, Adam Cole doesn't need the rub.
No.
He's Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Kyle O'Reilly, by getting the pinfall, now is in
the credibility of guys who
North American title thing. And it only sets him up because when he wrestled Finn Balor, I'm going to be the first person to say it. I didn't think it was going to be much of nothing.
Neither did I.
And
we talked about that. I
he's
wasn't
the man.
Yeah, it was really good. Real quick, let's bounce into a little bit more NXT and some other news we haven't talked about. Omega did show up on Impact. Talked about him becoming the Collector, dancing around the fact that he might challenge Chris Bay for the Impact World title. Another interesting tidbit tonight in the World title match between Chris Bay and Rich Swann is the first time it has been a singles competition between two black men for a world title on a mainstream show since The Rock and Booker T at SummerSlam in 2001. NXT, back to that. Karrion Kross made his return Wednesday night. There's a bit of a schmaz at the beginning of the show between Damian Priest, Johnny Gargano, and Finn Balor, where they're talking about, well, also Pete Dunne. I think Pete Dunne was involved.
Yeah.
Talking about who's going to be the number one contender, blah, blah, blah. Finn Balor walks away, is like, as he's walking away, Scarlett comes up, they jaw-jack a little bit. Balor says he'll let Regal decide. Damian Priest looks at Scarlett and says, what, you leave your boyfriend in the car? Tell him if he's looking for a fight, he can come find me. And boy, did he!
Yeah.
Came out of nowhere, beat the piss out of Damian Priest, which that's a match I'm genuinely excited for.
I think the best part of Balor was when he looked at Scarlett and he's like, I know why you're here.
Yeah.
Like, I love Balor because he's like, hello.
Yeah.
I know why you're here.
My biggest,
why ain't he here?
My biggest hope that comes from this is that we go back to the original plan. We put the belt back on Cross, and then Finn Balor goes into his program with Walter.
It'd be fantastic.
Because that's what they had to cancel because of the COVID. So, because of the Steve Carino virus, which we haven't called it that in a little while. Anyway, wrestling's looking up. Notice that we hardly talked about Raw or SmackDown because really...
There is something I would like to address about that.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Did you know that you can beat somebody to the point that they grow boobs on their back?
I did not know that.
The interview with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler before that match, Shayna says, I'm going to beat her so bad that her back's going to look like her front, and her front's going to look like her back. And Nia Jax looked at her all weird and says, so she's going to have boobs on her back? And Shayna Baszler just goes, yeah.
That's why we didn't talk about Raw or SmackDown.
That's why.
Would you like to know Raw and SmackDown? Here's the deal. We've got about a little over a minute left of video.
Raw sucks, SmackDown suck, main event suck.
Randy Orton and The Fiend
take my money.
Did their shit. Enough said.
Yeah, Roman Reigns is still really cool.
Yep.
That's basically all we got.
Roman Reigns was on SmackDown. Randy Orton was on Raw. That's all you need to know.
That's all you needed to know.
Pretty much.
Guys, thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned for history coming up in a bit. Don't forget, like, subscribe, leave us a comment down below. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ProWrestlingThrowdown. Send us an email at ProWrestlingThrowdown@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at ProWrestlingTD. And don't forget, a couple weeks, we're coming back to Twitch.
Also, don't forget, like, subscribe, and I might let you run your fingers through the beard.
Stay tuned. We got history coming at you in a little while.
That's what I appreciate about them.
I bet.